Welcome everyone to the second episode of Let's Do Review. So for today, we will be having the urinary system. The questions for the day. So the blood coming from the heart proceeds to the abdominal aorta. Now it proceeds to the two renal arteries since we have two kidneys, and now it further divides into segmental arteries. The segmental arteries also divides or separates into interlobar arteries and proceeds to different arcuate arteries towards the interlobular arteries. So in this part, it starts to connect to the nephron since interlobular arteries are connected to the afferent arterioles, which is connected to the glomerulus, and the blood proceeds, the large particles with the blood that cannot pass through the walls of the glomerulus will now go to the efferent arterioles. And now these efferent arterioles proceeds to the peritubular capillaries, to the interlobular veins, arcuate veins, and now to the interlobar veins, segmental veins. After the segmental veins, again, the renal vein towards the heart, which through the inferior vena cava. So as we can see on the left side, this is the pathway we prepared for the filtrate, which it undergoes PCT, LOH, DCT, and the collecting duct, and the end product here is the urine or the waste material. First step is filtration. It happens in the glomerulus, wherein the smaller particles in our blood and larger ones are separated. So the smaller particles pass through the walls of glomerulus, and they are considered as filtrate. So most of the filtrate are water, glucose, electrolytes, nitrogenous waste, amino acids, bicarbonate, and hydrogen ion. So for the second step is reabsorption, wherein the filtrate that are still important in our body will be reabsorbed back to the blood. It happens in the PCT, in the LOH, distal, in the DCT, in the collecting duct. So most of the substances involved are glucose, amino acids, NaCl, calcium ion, and other electrolytes, and water. So for the third one is the secretion. The substances that are harmful or toxic in our body will be secreted from the blood vessel back to the tubule, so towards the tubule. It happens in the proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule, wherein most of the substances secreted are uric acid, hydrogen ion, drugs, and creatine. So this equation will be important throughout this part. So first, we have the buffering system, the carbonic acid bicarbonate. So what happens here, if the pH level is too low, it forms carbonic acid. If it is too high, it forms the bicarbonate. For the protein and hemoglobin, it attracts the hydrogen ions with the help of the amine group within it, which can increase the pH level. So if you want to decrease it, then it breaks down the acid groups. For the phosphate, it can also attract the hydrogen ions to increase the pH level, or it can disintegrate it if you want to lessen the pH level. So this happens in the extracellular fluid and interstitial fluid. Next, for the second one is the respiratory compensation, which happens in our lungs. So what happens here, there will be exhalation of CO2 to reduce the amount of CO2 in our body. So there are two kinds of receptors that can help: the peripheral chemoreceptors, which detects the hydrogen ions, and the central chemoreceptors, which detects the amount of CO2 in our body. For the third one is the renal compensation, which happens in our kidneys. What happens here is that it reabsorbs the hydrogen ions or the bicarbonate if needed. If you want to increase or decrease, then it can either secrete or reabsorb the hydrogen ions or the bicarbonate in our kidneys. Acidosis means that the pH is less than 7.35, and alkalosis means that the pH level in our blood is greater than 7.45, which is above normal. So acidosis and alkalosis can be further classified into four. The acidosis can be respiratory acidosis, metabolic acidosis, which focuses on the amount of CO2 and bicarbonate in our body, and alkalosis can be respiratory alkalosis or metabolic alkalosis, which focus on the changes of hydrogen ions in our body. So that's it, everyone, for today. Thank you for watching.